with less than 24 hours to the expiration of the court's deadline for UTAG and the NLC to resolve their impasse, there appears to be no resolution in sight. UTAG earlier declined an invitation by the NLC over this matter. A meeting with the Education Ministry and Vice Chancellor's Ghana was also inconclusive as of Tuesday. So what happens? We'll speak to the NLC shortly. But even before a decision is made, education think tank Africa Education Watch wants government to shut down public universities, citing increasing social and economic costs of keeping the students on campus. Here are details of that statement issued today by EduWatch. It says it has been 22 working days since members of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, embarked on an industrial strike demanding enhanced conditions of service. The strike was declared on the 10th of January 2022. Majority of students on campus are freshmen who have not even been matriculated. These freshmen have had no academic direction since they arrived in the universities to meet a university community without academic activity or supervision by their lecturers and counselors due to the strike. Their continuous stay on campus without academic activity has economic and social consequences on them and their families back home as they continue to incur expenditure they otherwise wouldn't have incurred if they were home. On the labor front, 5 weeks of industrial action has yet to achieve any significant progress in negotiating a settlement to the impasse. In view of the increasing social and economic costs of staying on campus with no academic activity, the absence of academic direction for freshmen on campus, and the apparent lack of an eminent negotiated settlement of the impasse, it will be in the best interest of students, freshmen especially, and their families for the schools to be closed down. We therefore call on Vice Chancellor's Ghana to close down all public universities until the UTAG strike is called off. The Executive Director, Kofi Asari, has been explaining further why this is the most prudent decision to make at this point. He spoke on the pulse.
I'm making our call for the closure of universities because 5 weeks ago, freshers were admitted in school. Since they arrived in school, not even have they been matriculated into the university environment. They have not gone through matriculation. They have not started lectures. They have done nothing of academic value. Yet they've been staying in school for 5 weeks, doing practically nothing. Unlike continuing students, freshmen have no experience in tertiary level education. They have no exposure to tertiary level academics. So they are relying on the commencement of academic work to be able to, obtain the necessary academic guidance. Now, given this environment, on what basis do you keep such students in school for 5 weeks doing practically nothing? Students spending money every day by living on their own when their families are home. When you have students remaining on campus, having unsupervised, no academic supervision on campus for 5 weeks, spending money on a daily basis at that economic and social cost. Do you still need a law to tell you that the students are idle, doing nothing, and so they have to come home? I don't think we need a law. In any case, for continuing students, one might say that, of course, they are already in school, so they may have assignments or projects or, some guidance. But for freshers, no. And if you look at on our campuses, majority of the students, they are freshers because they've been asked to report to school since January and have been there for 5 weeks doing nothing. That's why we are saying that in the absence of a clear, end in sight to this impasse, especially where the two groups, government and then lecturers, have been virtually engaged in litigation in the first 4 weeks, the best thing to do is to let the students go home, and then whenever UTAG decides to return to teach, they should be recalled.
My colleague Kofi Asari joins us via Zoom with some information about the meeting between UTAG and the Education Ministry. Kwaku, what have you learned so far?
Ernest, we know that a meeting between UTAG and the Education Ministry ended inconclusive from yesterday. We understand another meeting was organized today no agreement was reached. And what we know now is that another meeting will be held tomorrow at 8 o'clock a.m. in the morning to try and reach some agreement. We also know that the court action that was instituted by NLC, which led to that 1 week window being given both parties to try and resolve their differences, expires tomorrow also. And so by 2 p.m., the case might have been called in court. And so government and UTAG have between 8 a.m. and around midday, 2 p.m. to try and iron out their issues. And so government, through the Education Ministry, is very confident that they will reach some compromise before then. But all we are getting from UTAG, our sources within, are telling us that government has so far not made a single cedi offer to them. We know that they have been demanding at least $2,084 for entry-level lecturers. So far, what our sources within UTAG tells us that UTAG has not received a single offer, not even a cedi or a dollar, from government to say, this is what we want to offer you. And so what do you think about it? What we understand is that government is planning to make an offer tomorrow, but our sources within UTAG tells us that it is not certain that they will be swayed by that. And so it is very cagey where we are now, with universities having been reopened almost 6 weeks now, and UTAG having been in strike for at least a month with no academic activity, and government also not making any concrete offer to teachers.
Good. Thank you very much for bringing us those details. But the Public Relations Officer at the Education Ministry, Kofi Asari, tells JoyNews they have made progress. He insists that UTAG has softened the stance on this matter.
It looks positive, even though the meeting ended inconclusive with regards to making a finite determination on the strike matter. The parties agreed that we continue the meeting this very next Thursday morning, that is hopefully tomorrow, so that we should be able to find a lasting solution to the strike action and hopefully get our lecturers back to the classroom. So we are very hopeful that with the strides that the ministry has made, the engagements that the Ministry of Education has led, some of them official, some of them through behind the scenes, we are very, very hopeful that we should be drawing the curtains to the end of this matter.
You make mention of positives. When you say some strides have been made, what exactly are you referring to?
Yes, so it depends on, that statement was made in relation to the engagements that was made. And then, like I said, I can confirm to you that a lot of progress were made. So in this case, you had both parties being flexible. And when I say both parties, I'm referring to the government side and UTAG. Being flexible with their positions and their plans. Initially, UTAG was like, we are going to continue with the strike action. But this time around, you have some consensus building, all parties drawing near or very closer to getting a permanent and a lasting solution to the strike impasse. So, we believe that we should be seeing to the end of this matter. And on that note, we feel that a lot of strides were made.
Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to Kofi Samoa, who is the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission. Thank you, sir, for joining us on JoyNews Prime. Tomorrow, you are to report back to the court. UTAG declined to meet with you, but proceeded to meet with the Education Ministry, facilitated by Vice Chancellor's Ghana. Would you say that will suffice?
Well, that's also an attempt to have the problem resolved, except that it was not in compliance with the court directive. So we took the step to invite them. Unfortunately, they declined. But in any case, the role of the Labour Commission is to facilitate the dispute resolution. That is why we were bringing the very people they are meeting together. So we were only facilitating by providing them a forum and opportunity to meet. But they chose to rather meet outside the facility we offered them. Anyway, if it is resolved and tomorrow we go to court and they are able to have a good report for the court, all the best.
So what can we expect from your side as far as reporting back to the court is concerned?
Oh, reporting back, we report it as it is. And it is common knowledge now. We wrote to them. You are aware. They responded to their letter. You are aware. And since then, nothing has changed between we and them. But one good thing is that we are not a party to the negotiation. We are only a vehicle for the dispute resolution. So if parties are able to resolve issues amongst themselves without reference to it, all the best, except that where the court has made specific order and parties do a different thing. That is the only problem I have. But for that, all we want is a dispute resolution.
Assuming that the court is not satisfied with the reports given tomorrow, would you advise, or are you open to a complete out-of-court settlement, taking the issue completely out of the court?
At the moment, the whole issue now is being satisfied or not. It's one for the court to determine. If the court is satisfied, they will give their blessings and perhaps leave it at that. If the court is not satisfied, they will make directives and give consequential orders. So the satisfaction or otherwise of it rests with the court. And whatever that follows will depend on their level of satisfaction.
Yes, but I'm asking that, are you willing to take this out of court, regardless what the court says?
We have only one thing to do. That is to facilitate the settlement of a dispute or settle the dispute. And that is what we have at all times tried to do between UTAG and their employers. So the National Labour Commission, like I said, we are only a vehicle for dispute resolution. When we talk about settlement out of court, we have nothing to gain whether it's settled out of court or this. We were only interested in, one, engaging to have the issue settled, and two, whilst negotiations are going on, the UTAG members will return to the lecture halls to do business, while the leadership or their mandated executives, accredited executives, will do the negotiation with government. We have just about 15 people at the table, with 6,000 lecturers all sitting down, and the schools, everybody. So that is what is worrying. That is what is worrying. As for negotiation and settling, yes, we are in for that. Except that while that is going on.
And just for clarity, Mr. Samoa, did the court say that UTAG should get back to you, to the negotiation table with you, or with their employers?
The negotiation is between them and their employer. We, as Labour Commission, only facilitate the resolution, the meeting, the negotiation, the settlement. That is what we do. So we were not to be engaged in settling, but to providing a forum and a means to settling the issue.
Mr. Samoa, I'm grateful that you could join us. That's the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Mr. Ofosu Samoa, joining us on this issue of UTAG. We'll be following up and bring you details in our subsequent bulletin.